Hey, what's up guys? My name is Moda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. Today's video, we're going to have our DePIN update video. This is going to be June 2025 and we're going to shotgun through a lot of updates here, right? All the way from Geonet, Rover, Natix, Hivemapper, Demo, and Aethir, right? So a lot of different news things that have come out this past month. Going to talk about it, highlight them, give our thoughts on them. If that sounds good guys, stay tuned. Let's get right to this thing. So we're just going to shotgun through a lot of these news events. We'll start with Aethir Edge first, or Aethir. We'll talk about the Edge device here. So this is one never been a fan of. Still get a lot of questions about this thing. And this is one, like I mentioned before, especially with any of these DePIN projects, understand the tokenomics, understand the emissions, understand all of these things because they will greatly affect you. Don't just look at current reward structure, current emissions, look at what to expect in the future, because again, a lot of these things you're not gonna ROI in just a couple of days or a couple of months, right? Think about these things for the long term and see if they make sense or not, right? Just because it's earning X amount one day doesn't mean it's going to earn X amount the next day. And in this case, it's been a drastic change with this thing. Okay, so they did change their tokenomics and it was expected. They said they were going to change, but it wasn't clear, right? And unfortunately, the Ponzi-nomics with this thing are going to continue, and it's not looking very good, right? So Zara's already not really a fan of this thing just because of their reward structure. If you look at it for what it was, it seemed pretty decent, right? It was 100 ATH per day until you look at the actual requirements regarding the vesting of your rewards, right? Which that immediately huge turnoff, right? And it looks like even with this change, it looks like it is going to continue to stay, because even in this revised thing, it's still here at the bottom. So again, your reward vesting is 30% you're getting up front. So previously you were earning 100. We're going to continue to use that number just for easy math, although it's not 100 anymore. You'd get 30% immediately. So you'd get, out of those 100, you get 30 off the bat, another 30% after 90 days, and then the rest of it, the 40%, after 180 days, right? So this one is one that a lot of people were shilling, and it was very, very misleading because you're not getting those rewards up front, right? You're having to wait to get these things, and there's a huge change in the tokenomics for any guys who bought this thing in the very beginning. Again, before people really started advertising this thing earlier this year, if you go way back, should have ROI'd already, so it's not too bad in those regards. Anybody who bought this thing recently, these past few months, not looking too great. Right, so let's talk about the change. So the device already was pretty expensive, which wasn't a fan of, because again, what you're getting doesn't justify the $1,400 price, right? So it does seem like they were making money off of that device. They sold freaking 66,000 of those things, by the way, so wasn't a fan of that. You also had to buy Aethir to stake in order to get rewards on top of the initial price of the device. You have to KYC also to get your rewards, so a lot of things I wasn't a fan of, and this is kind of like 100% justifying it even more. So let's go back and look at the changes in tokenomics. So initially, June 20th, 2024 to October 31st, you were getting the 21 ATH a day. Then they bumped it up to get more interest. This is when they bumped it up to 100 ATH a day from November 1st, 2024 to June 12th. So this did end already. So when you guys who have any of these things, you kind of already know, because your earnings went down to 21. Okay, so July 12th was going to be the last day for that, and then this new change of the tokenomics is going to take effect July 13th through July 12th, 2026. You're going to earn anywhere from 10 to 240 ATH a day with a stake to earn model, right? So even more forced purchasing and forcing you to stake even more. Okay, so let's look at what the changes are. So there's going to be different tiers. If you guys who already have this thing, you're going to be grandfathered into the bronze tier already, right? So you don't have to necessarily stake this amount if you don't want to stake any further. And you'll get your 10 ATH a day. Yes, drastic cut. So if you want to go with the silver route, you got to stake 5,000 ATH and you can earn 30 a day. Or you can go the gold, where you have to stake 10,000 ATH and earn 60 a day. Okay. Which overall doesn't sound too bad. The downfall being is does seem like the same Ponzi-nomics of having to vest rewards is still going to be there, right? So again, you're only going to get 30% up front, 30% after 90 days, and the other 40% after 180 days, right? So if that is the case, that's definitely No bueno. Again, if you're a person who really believes in this thing, I would just buy the coin, right? Let's look at how much 10,000 ATH would be. 300 bucks. So realistically, not a whole lot, but I mean, when you factor in that you already spent 13, well, depending where you got in from, right? It was initially like 1,000, 1,100, 1,300, and I think it's $1,400 right now. So on top of having to stake, you have to buy more ATH and lock it up, and then you're locking up your rewards. Again, I see stuff like that, and it's like Ponzi-nomics to the max, right? It's one thing if it was an actual device that was actually doing something. Doesn't really seem like it's doing a whole lot, especially for what it is. It doesn't justify that $1,400 price tag. So again, to me, it's just more like bullshit Ponzi-nomics. To each their own, but that's really how I value a lot of these projects. Now, that's not to say that this project won't do well. It does have a lot of good things going for it in terms of actual use, revenue, not from these little things though, from the GPU side. They do advertise a lot. They are all over the place. It does seem like the project may do well, but in terms of using this little edge device, just not a fan. Not a fan of the tokenomics, the vesting, the force vesting, the force staking. Not a fan of that kind of stuff, right? So to each their own. Just again, if you guys got this thing recently, it's not looking too great. I mean, at this point, might as well go all the way with it. But just something to be aware of. And you guys who haven't got this thing, just this is a good reminder, right? To look into all these things, understand what you're getting yourself into, right? So don't just go off somebody's review or somebody's video, like verify these things, whether it's anybody talking about it or I'm talking about it, verify all these things. So look at the white paper, look at the emissions, look at all those things, right? That's something I am very big on. I don't want to just see what's going on right now, what's going on in the future. What is the project doing? Are they bringing in actual revenue, right? This is a whole different thing when you're looking at DePIN versus traditional mining, right? So make sure you understand those differences. Let's continue on, though. Another big change with Geonet. For you guys who have a Geonet device, you are now able to earn rewards on Solana, right? So before, there's been ways to bridge it. It has been on Solana for quite a while, but you haven't been able to earn your rewards directly on Solana. Now you can, right? Go into your console, you're able to add your wallet address, and you're able to now earn those rewards directly on Solana, which is definitely a big benefit, especially because for me personally, not a fan of Polygon. To me, they should just abandon it completely. Like, I don't understand why they're still even there, just because, again, they're getting so much more support on the Solana side versus Polygon, right? People have this thing where they want to remain on ETH for whatever reason, especially a lot of these DePIN projects, right? That's been another huge caveat with Demo, that they're very hard-headed and want to stay on ETH. That's why they had all those base integrations, but at the end of the day, they're not doing anything for them versus Solana is, right? They literally have a whole DePIN sector. They have people who work for the foundation that have a whole DePIN side that help promote, and they've done that for Geonet, right? It's not something we can say the same thing for Polygon. They have done absolutely nothing for them at all. Same thing with Demo, right? Demo is, they've talked about it before, they are supposed to have something similar where you can, from your native wallet, be able to transfer to Solana. So have a Solana variation timeline. We have no idea, but expect to see something similar. Now, are they going to fully abandon Polygon? No, right? The NFT is still going to remain on Polygon, so you're still going to have that MetaMask wallet, because the NFT, and you guys who do have the NFT, is going to remain there for now. Could it change? Maybe, but just something to make it easier, just because, again, offloading, if you want to sell or trade, it is much, much easier on Solana versus Polygon if you're more in that ecosystem. Me, personally, I'm way more in that ecosystem. I'm not into ETH much at all unless I have to, just because of gas fees and ease of use, etc., etc. So that is something of note. The other big thing with Geonet, they are going to have their halving here in days, right? So as of July 1st, 2025, we are going to go down to 12 geode. Okay, so again, understand the tokenomics, understand what's going on. This is something we've talked about for quite a while, even when we got ours. The reason we got it at that time was because it looked like we were still going to make our ROI prior to the halving, and we definitely did, right? So even with Geode's price not doing too well currently, it still made its ROI. It's crazy as it sounds, and it's still continuing to earn. So again, that's one that's completely passive. It's doing its thing. Have had no issues with that. It's kind of a little bit worried about the Florida heat and Florida rain, wind, etc. It's been holding up just fine, right? Let's continue down. And this is another one. Let's talk about Rover. For you guys who got this thing, the little Tarantula X. I did get it back in the beginning when it first launched, back November, I want to say. It was like 100. It was either 130 or 150. There was like a 10% coupon, so it was like around 115 bucks. Earning on this thing has been pretty decent for what it is. Has officially paid itself off. Again, it's only 120 bucks, but earnings are pretty consistent. It's based on how much you actually drive. So for you guys who do drive a ton, it's not a bad thing. Although I do think the price did go up. I haven't checked. I think it did go up to 200 bucks recently, which is not good. Token price wise has surprised me. I did not think it would continue to go up the way it has, just because again, to me, even still right now, it does seem quite a bit overpriced. Again, with this one, there's just not a lot of holders, right? The market cap is only 1.31 million, so there is a lot of upside. The rewards are pretty decent. Their bigger device, the Litecoin, which is realistically what makes them more appealing, earns a lot more, but that thing is way more expensive. So the device isn't too bad. Would I spend the $200 for it? Hard to say where they kind of go from here. We kind of have to let it mature a little bit, see what it does. But any of you guys who got in back when we first talked about it, back in like November, hopefully you made your money back. If not, you probably should be doing it here pretty soon. As far as how much I'm earning about, depending, like 500 to 600 Rover per week. You do get paid out weekly, which is like $7-8 a week, so like $30 a month, which isn't a whole lot, but again, for something that was so cheap, its earnings ain't too bad, right? So just wanted to give you an update on that thing. Let's talk about another one, Natix. So they did have two big updates, because we're kind of curious as to what the hell is going on with the price, because it was skyrocketing pretty quick, right? You can definitely see here starting on May 22nd, there was a nice consistent increase, and there wasn't a whole lot of news, right? There was news prior to that. They had that partnership with Grab Maps, meaning they actually had a paying customer now, which was a big deal. So that was super bullish. But this was prior, right? This was a day after the VX360 went live. That was back on May 6th. So again, it did have that little blip. You can definitely see here where it did go up. Although comparison to what this recent dip, this little pump was absolutely nothing. So it took us a while to figure it out. We did find out a few days later. So I don't know if people found out ahead of time or it was announced on their Discord or something early, but this was probably the only thing that came out. I'm guessing this is what it is. So they are officially have a subnet on BitTensor, right? For you guys who are unfamiliar, that's TAO. That's probably one of the leading AI coins, right? In terms of actual use, right? So this was a pretty big deal. And that's most likely partially what it is, right? So they're able to utilize a lot of these things. The other big thing that's been going on is it does seem like a lot of the attention's going on with the VX360 device. It's hard to say what's getting prioritized here on this subnet. Is it the phones? Is it the device? It's hard to say, but this is kind of a big deal, right? We're thrilled to announce the launch of Street Vision Subnet, Subnet 72, on BitTensor, the ultimate decentralized AI network. By combining Natix's curated real-world data with BitTensor's crowdsourced intelligence framework, we're contributing to physical AI by creating a trustless, ever-evolving ecosystem that provides advanced autonomous driving and smarter map-making applications, right? So as we look at the price action, we hit all-time highs and did hit a nice little peak. Ultimately has retraced, again, with everything retraced, but overall doing extremely, extremely well. And then as far as the partnership goes, again, it's with Grab Maps. They are a company based out of Singapore. And they do seem pretty legit. So it's the first of hopefully more to come. These are the types of things we definitely want to see. Because again, if that data isn't getting utilized, then what good is it for, right? If they're unable to find customers, then there goes the value, right? Which we've seen kind of be the case on some of the other projects, and this is definitely a good sign, right? So let's move on. Let's talk about Hivemapper B-Maps. What they listed, 2 more customers, which is a pretty big deal. One of them was kind of surprising. They didn't really give us a whole lot of info on specifically what, and that was the NBC Universal one, right? So these are partnerships where they're not necessarily just, buying the cameras or whatever. They're actual customers of the data, right? So the list is pretty freaking impressive. They have Lyft, which we've all heard of, and this one was also about a month ago where they officially announced it. Mapbox, Trimble, Here, NBC Universal, Vortex Design, and TomTom. So this is a big deal, right? These are definitely the types of things we want to see where they're actually using that data. They're getting paid for that data. Vortex was also kind of an interesting one just because it's different from the others and it's more utility based, right? As far as like actual utilities, it's blueprints, it's planning. So this was kind of an interesting one. They didn't really give us a whole lot of specifics, but it just shows you the versatility, right? That it's not just a navigation type thing. There's a lot of different use cases here with that data, right? And it's definitely bullish as a whole. As far as the hardware goes, that's where it has been extremely disappointing, right? I did order, what did I order? I ordered the Wi-Fi units, right? Which did get delayed. I think they didn't start producing them until a month ago, 4 weeks, 6 weeks ago, something like that. It's been forever, right? I literally ordered them within minutes of it going live. So as far as like actual retail orders, I ordered 2 of them. Those should have been some of the first, but they did go back actually. So they're prioritizing people who had RMAs or had anything prior to then or who bought like way back and their order never got fulfilled, right? Back in like December 2023, right? So they're prioritizing all those folks first. And then they'll go, so realistically, it's been way too damn long. So at this point, definitely going to cancel 2 of them. My Hivemapper, my regular one, actually also broke way back in like March, right? It was still under warranty, so they gave us a couple options, either get a refund or put in that order towards another device, which I did do that because at the time they were saying that, oh, you should have it by Q2, now officially Q3. It's taken way too damn long, right? So I may keep one of the orders, but realistically gonna definitely cancel the others because at this point, on the earnings side, it definitely just doesn't make sense, right? The other big downfall is that we're hoping that they were going to somehow pivot the tokenomics, which it's still supposed to, right? In theory, it was supposed to earn more than the HTC. Current chatter in the Discord is that the HTC is actually earning more than it, which is definitely not good news. The plan was, it did seem like for them to pivot 100% to the B, right? For them to essentially phase out the HTC and go on the B. So far, that transition hasn't happened. It's just been because of the delay of this thing, right? If they were cut off all the HTCs, they wouldn't have as much data, right? So they have to wait until they have enough on the network or enough to get the data they need. And they'll probably slowly phase them out, although it definitely needs to change, right? Because realistically, even if it's earning similar or the same or even slightly more than what the HTC was earning, because of how much the token price has dropped, it's just not necessarily worth it, right? Because I was earning, back before it went down, about 250 honey a week, which isn't a whole lot, right? At this point, it'd be about 20 bucks a freaking month. Obviously, it was more back then, but I mean, even comparing it now, when the camera was 249, 279, something like that, not the worst thing in the world, but when the camera's twice the price and it's still earning that amount, still kind of doesn't make sense, especially with the current token price. Like, even if they were to double it, even if this thing goes up to 500, it'd be about $40 a month. I mean, it's a hard sell considering just how much you can buy for the price, right? I mean, I think it's what, 550 bucks, 590 bucks actually, something like that. I mean, you can buy freaking 30,000 coins, right? It's definitely a rough sell, especially kind of this late in the game. Obviously, if the token price runs, it's going to change things. Is it going to go back up to like 30 cents? Very doubtful, right? And the reason is that just the tokenomics, the emissions, like for it to go back up to that level, it'd have to 15x. But again, if we look at what's going on. This was what, January 17th, it hit 32 cents, right? So people look at this chart and be like, oh man, yeah, if it did it before, that was definitely bear market price. I mean, it could still go well beyond that, and it could, right? I definitely see this because of their growth, what they're doing. If things repeat, again, this is one of the few that is actually bringing in revenue, does have actual customers. See this going to $1 billion market cap potentially, right? During the peak of this thing. The issue there is, though, if we look at the market cap, again, at that time during that peak, it was only $200 million market cap. Again, so for us to reach that same market cap level, it would just double, right? Because again, we're at 90 million now currently, right? So for us to double, let's say just easy math, go up to 180, we'll only go to 4 cents, not your 32 cents, right? And what happened is just there's a lot more tokens in circulation. So again, for us to go back up to 30 cents, we'd have to 15x. So we'd have to go all the way to like about 1.5 billion, which it's crazy. It's possible, but it's kind of stretching it, right? I mean, to each their own. Again, I'm way more conservative. It would have to do that. And considering the current all-time highs in terms of market cap is about 335 million. Again, for it to reach that amount, it'd be a 4x. So it'd be about 8 cents to reach the previous all-time highs in terms of market cap, right? So this is why it's not as simple as just looking at this, especially if there's a lot more coins in circulation, which is what happened here, right? So understand those dynamics, understand everything going on. But in terms of the project itself, very bullish, very, very bullish. These partnerships are the things we want to see. In terms of buying the device and earning, very bearish. Quite the opposite unless things drastically change, right? Which it does seem like they will eventually. It's just not good that they haven't come up with that thesis yet, right? And this is something that is kind of ongoing because they have to see how these partnerships work out. Like, this is where it gets tricky, right? So we have these partnerships that bring in revenue, but the token doesn't necessarily mean anything in terms of that revenue. Like if there was some kind of revenue share mechanism, more so than just the burns. They do have burns because they are buying, so that is one part of it. But this is something that it's still in its early stages. A lot of these companies are still kind of figuring out the tokenomics, right? But at the end of the day, this is definitely something we want to see, especially on the speculative side. Even aside from the earnings and all that, just speculation, which crypto, it's 99% speculation. These kinds of things are huge, right? When we see partnerships like this, TomTom, Vortex, NBC Universal, Lyft, Madbox, Trimble, it is very bullish, right? The other big news, we talked about it. I'm not going to harp much more on it, and it's the change with Demo going to their subscription model. One update they did have from all of us bitching, moaning, and complaining was they did put out a tweet last week on the 16th. We've heard you. There will be an update on lower cost subscriptions and other important news next week. We are in next week. We still haven't heard anything, but not a fan. Right? Even, like, it's almost regardless of what's going on, just a lot of bad decisions. We'll see what they do. Maybe they extend things. The one I'm most curious about are the connection fees, like the ones that do not have a hardware connection, for example, like the Teslas. What is that subscription cost going to be? Is it going to be worthwhile? We're going to have to wait and see, because, again, a lot of people are going to be disconnecting, specifically on those sides. We're not going to see a huge reduction in people with the hardware just because, again, they're grandfathered in for a few years, so it'll be a while till we get a huge mass exodus. The one that will happen, though, is the Teslas, right? As we saw, they are a pretty decent chunk of the overall cars that are connected. Very likely a lot of them will disconnect, so depending on how many disconnect, you may earn more. So kind of bullish there. I'm going to have to wait and see, but I'll keep you updated depending on what they put out. I'll probably just do a post or something about it just because, again, I'm not going to dedicate a video to just that, but it is something to be aware of, right? So just want to give you those update, guys, as there has been quite a few. Let me know in the comments, what do you guys think? Any of these matter to you? Did you guys get this Aethir Edge recently? Hopefully you guys paid attention and didn't, as was something we have mentioned quite a while. Just not a fan of those Ponzi-nomics. But let me know in the comments, guys. Please comment, like, and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I am out.